what a great story to see the demand in the industry that's growing and the investment that's going into building the technology. Glad you can all join us. Jim, if you could start telling us a bit about the story of Titomic. Where has the company come from, and a bit of the history along the way would be fantastic, mate.
Sure, Michael. First of all, thank you. It's a pleasure to join you. Titomic was founded in Australia to commercialize a truly disruptive technology, cold spray additive manufacturing, specifically our proprietary process called Titomic Kinetic Fusion, or TKF. The core innovation came from the partnership with CSIRO, or CSIRO, Australia's National Science Agency. The idea was to rethink manufacturing, eliminating the need for heat, melting, or tooling, and replacing it with a process that uses supersonic metal powder deposition. We initially focused on machine development, but over time we've recognized that our customers need end-to-end solutions, not just hardware. And that's what's led to our strategic pivot from machine seller to a fully integrated advanced manufacturing and repair company. Patty, if you want to add some stuff.
Yes, exactly, Jim. And this transformation has been very critical to Titomic and what we've been doing. As the environment has definitely changed over time, the supply chain has definitely gone through a lot of disruptions. The casting shortages that the customers have experienced have created a lot of long lead times for us. So we wanted to go a different route and see what we could do to bring that technology closer to a point where the customers could really get their needs met in a faster and more efficient way. That's why we've established Titomic USA. Here, we're working on a 59,000 square foot new facility where we're going to be doing end-to-end solutions for the customer, as well as building the machines and have powder and different blend manufacturings going on for additive manufacturing of the products. Now we're embedded in the U.S. defense and aerospace industry, and we're working directly with the Department of Defense, NASA, and all the major primes that are here locally in the U.S., as well as directly here in Huntsville, Alabama.
It's certainly on a fast track. The whole industry is changing fast. If we just looked at the AUKUS Alliance and the work that's happening across the three countries, it's certainly a capability that defence in each country is key capability that they need to acquire. It's great to know that Titomic's on that journey. The United States is certainly a much larger market than Australia, so great to see Australian technology, and certainly the work with CSIRO continues to provide opportunities for Australian startups. And it's quite a journey to get to here where you're now established in the United States. Jim, it was great to catch up with you down at the Avalon Air Show. That was certainly a great spectacle. It's always good to see those aircraft going up and around, doing their loop-the-loops and all the rest. Technology never stands still. But additive manufacturing for defence is, as we've said, vital, not just for making parts on submarines or on warships, but aerospace as well. What were your insights on your last visit to Australia, and what are you seeing as some of the future capabilities?
A lot of the things that are pretty incredible right now is that almost all of the powder manufacturers and a lot of the 3D manufacturers are coming from Australia to the United States, including ourselves. And frankly, the utilization of the activities that we were doing in Australia, the interest from some of the, I'll say, the US primes that have Australian divisions, we're actually extremely interested in Titomic Kinetic Fusion capabilities, and hence why they're being transferred over into the United States. Right now, we're just about to have our big ribbon cutting, as Patty talked about, on June 2nd. We're still relying heavily on our Australian business to provide us the information that we need for our activities that we're doing in the United States. So that synergism that we have between them is quite incredible. We also have a third group in the Netherlands that also is mostly focused on our low pressure and medium pressure machines that do coatings and repair work, but also build of the machines as well. As we've seen the changes in happening as far as the United States being a little bit more of an isolationism, focused again with AUKUS, and then seeing that the European Union is going on their own to a certain extent, having a company in the Netherlands working on the European Union defense is actually very important as well. There's a lot of dynamics going on, and it's all really kind of started at the core of our activities in Melbourne, Australia. So very exciting.
I'm certainly looking forward to joining you in Huntsville, and going to be quite a special moment for the launch of these new facilities. Matthew Netherwood is joining us. Matt's in Adelaide, our Global Partnerships Manager at the AUKUS Forum, but we get to talk with a lot of industry across the three countries, and Matt really has a pulse of where the industry is heading. And certainly in the space industry, we find these adjacent markets, and there's so much happening now with our AUKUS Guardians and finding opportunities for Australian, UK companies to enter the US market is a prime driver. Hence why I'm in California today and talking with a range of industry there to open up new pathways. But Matt, you might have a few words just around the global partnership opportunities and the things that you're hearing and seeing, especially on LinkedIn. You're getting tapped all the time through that platform.
Yeah, it's been really exciting because it's not just the pillar one, pillar two, and that's what I love just hearing about Jim and Paddy at the moment. It's the opportunities that AUKUS presents to these companies such as Titomic, and especially in that, the defence and the advanced manufacturing sector. There's been so much traffic coming through, not just traditionally people think pillar one of the AUKUS journey, but the pillar two just opens up so many doors, and the conversations we've been hearing and been having with Titomic, which has been so exciting to hear, and the advancements that you're making has opened the doors from a traffic point of view on LinkedIn, and the emails that have been coming through companies in Australia, the UK, but especially the US has just been phenomenal of the interest. But then suddenly the connections and the networking begins. That's the exciting part, where everyone can talk to someone without having to, dare I say it, Google to find that relevant company. And that's where AUKUS Forum has been, I guess, that piece in the middle to be able to make that work. So it's been great, but definitely the Titomic story about what's coming up with the cutting of the ribbon, perhaps, of the new excitement time. I didn't get the date again, Paddy. I know that's right down your alley of that one. Could you share a bit more of that one if you're allowed?
Sure, it's June 2nd. We're starting at 10 a.m. Central Time.
That's going to come around real quick.
It's coming really fast.
That's great. And Matthew will be wearing a jumper on that day because it's going to be really cold in Adelaide. It'll be really hot up here though, mate.
Yes, I'll be packing all seasons, so that sounds perfect. So we'll definitely put some more information, Paddy, on that June 2nd as well, because the interest as well, because that really does feed into the AUKUS story, and obviously AUKUS Forum and Titomic of what both sides are trying to do for the right reason with the Tri-Nation. So that sounds perfect.
If we just stay with the space industry at the moment, I'm sure you've got quite a few activities happening with the space industry. We have a partnership with Space Florida at the Kennedy Space Center. We've had meetings down there in Florida. So many great opportunities happening with the space industry across the three AUKUS nations. And we're just waiting for the launch of Gilmore Space in the state of Queensland at the moment. So everyone's on the edge of their seat waiting for that activity to literally launch. Can you tell us a bit more about the adjacent markets to defence like space and where you see Titomic having an opportunity there?
Titomic does work on the Hermes program, where we do have a space radiator in space today. It's been there for 2 years, working great. Many adjacent markets to that as well. We do many coating layers, which we can do radiation protection, radiation hardening for our customers. And then for missile defense and just the defense industry too, going into hypersonics and the Golden Dome effort and several other of the activities that are happening near term, Titomic is going to be definitely at the forefront in working that, because we have this disruptive technology that's really going to come into play.
That's fantastic. No shortage of opportunities, we know that much, so good to be leading the way. Jim, as far as adjacent markets and further to that, the mining industry in Australia is enormous. Maintenance activities play a key role. How do you see maintenance in places like the mining sector, but also in agriculture and other programs? What's the future looking like for that as far as your business?
Well, first of all, I think Titomic ought to get shirts that say "We love corrosion," because quite frankly, our ability to repair it is incredible. And some of the things that we've been really focusing in on, and we have been doing certain things in the mining area and a bit in the agriculture area, but our focus right now has been, besides the defense and aerospace activities, really in the oil and gas areas, and also maritime. The reason being, there is a lot of corrosion on there, and in the oil and gas sector, frankly, you can't use a welder or other activities because you'd have to evacuate the rig because of potential dangers. Whereas when you can use the Titomic system, it doesn't ever get to a temperature that would ever cause some kind of a spark. And so therefore, you're able to use the system but in a benign environment. What we're seeing from Woodside and others that have done the testing is that we're able to eliminate that corrosion once we put our treatment on with using aluminum for as much as 15 years. This is a huge change for those groups. So we're seeing that not only is that infrastructure for oil and gas becoming important, but we're also seeing it, as Patty talked about, NAVC is interested in it. And also we're now working with the U.S. Army Corps of Engineering to look at different types of infrastructure relative to it being bridges or being tugboats or other shipyard applications. And my goal is to have the Sydney Bridge be corrosive free from us too. So.
Well, there you go. You'd have to work around the fireworks from time to time. It's always a spectacle.
I see we can work with fireworks because we don't cause any ignition.
Oh, there you go. Okay.
Jim, how does that's fascinating. That's a really good story. Just to touch more on that, is that the opportunity that comes to your team when you have those conversations about the oil and the gas with the maritime, about the erosion and the welding? Do you then walk away and think, oh, actually, we can do that? Is it then the story evolve into something else? Then suddenly you go, actually, that's another area we haven't really thought about that we can also work with, and we can suddenly you're innovating all the time and creating new opportunities.
I'd say that you're definitely creating new opportunities all the time, but there's a certain part where you have to focus and you have to make sure that you're prepared for the different things that you're doing. And the areas that we've chosen, which we think are naturals because we can do things with titanium, refractory metals, and other applications that are very unique metals, aerospace and defense and oil and gas seem to be very good areas for us to be in. But they require us to be qualified. We just announced that we're entering a rigorous certification process in the oil and gas area for DNV. That takes about a 6-month process, but then it allows us to work on every oil and gas and maritime vehicle or stand. And similarly, we have to do qualification for aerospace activities. We're working with different universities, NASA, the Department of Defense, and also the prime contractors to certify our products and coatings so that we can be able to apply them not only in R&D, but also into production. These are critical elements of things that we've chosen when we pivoted, and it's areas so that we're aggressively moving forward with, and we're quite excited about the progress we've made to date.
Oh, that's great. On the aerospace side, I spent the last week over in Arkansas, certainly a large aerospace industry across that state, missile manufacturing as well. We should connect you to the team at the Arkansas Defense and Aerospace Alliance, so let's make sure we do that, Matt. But again, being come down to people, we need these supply chain initiatives too. So maybe Patty, around the supply chain opportunities and maybe some barriers. What's your insights as far as Titomic and the supply chain for all the additive manufacturing? What are you hearing on the industry in general, perhaps?
A lot of the defense customers, we've heard it takes them 18 to 24 months to get a casting or forging that they need, and they hog those pieces out and throw the majority of it away. So the majority of it's waste. Whereas we're using metal powders and we have very little waste, and we can do the parts in a matter of hours to a day, maybe 2 shifts, versus having to wait for those castings and forgings to even get to the vendor before they can even be machined to get them the part that they need. So it's definitely speed of production that we can accommodate and overcome those challenges for the forgings and castings. Also, we're working with the local powder vendors here in the U.S., so that will speed up production as well. So we're not waiting for those powder vendors from all over the world to get the materials here. We have them locally supplied. We have those strategic agreements already in place, so we can overcome that obstacle well. And then Jim talked about the certifications. We're in the process of getting certified with a few of the major primes already. It does take a lot of time, so we're working on an alternate path to get certified in general with NASA, like you talked about in the universities, so we don't have to do every step of those certifications that those major primes would require, that we can expedite that process as well and have a certification in place, and then they can work from that point forward. So that will definitely speed up the process as well.
And that's a key part of the AUKUS relationship, is breaking down those barriers across 3 countries. You can imagine the standards and all the work that's going on behind the scenes. We held our first AUKUS Steel and Forging Summit earlier this month in Pennsylvania with a company called North American Forge Masters. It was a great event and brought together some key people from defence and the maritime industrial base. But standards and the like were a key topic of conversation. You know, we need this seamless activity, so great to know you guys are onto that. We heard earlier this year about the new Office for Shipbuilding in the White House. And so the shipbuilding industry alone will be growing like topsy, but there's a strong demand signal coming through, which means we all need to get involved and bring the industry along. So what do you see as the next steps?
I'll let Jim talk about that shipbuilding development, but one other thing to point out is the workforce development. We're really focused on getting young, talented engineering folks in and training them in this new disruptive technology. From what we've seen already, there are a lot of very interested people that we've hired recently, and they've really jumped in and they're learning fast. It's very exciting to see the new talent coming in and what they want to learn and how they want to make a difference in the industry going forward.
It is exciting. It's a good news story, that one, for sure.
It is.
And wherever I travel, I love walking the factory floors, as you all know, and there's nothing better than talking to the guys on the tools and asking their opinions. So everyone's certainly very proud of the efforts they're putting in, and we need each and every one of them too, but I think that's great. If we hand to you, Jim, what's the future look like for Titomic now? And if we're talking about workforce skills, you know, it's a key driver. We need to attract new workers into the field, and certainly the equipment that is coming into the industry provides new opportunities for new skills and development. What else, as far as the technology, you mentioned partnering with universities, and I'm sure you have a lot going on in research constantly. You've come from a long way in South Australia to looking forward to joining you in Huntsville. What's the future look like, mate?
Well, I think the future is all about scale and impact. We're seeing strong and growing demand across all of our key markets, and we're positioning Titomic for significant global growth for both revenue and capability. As we continue to transition, as you talked about, from early stage pilots to full-scale recurring production contracts, we expect to see meaningful expansion of our commercial footprint and our operating margins. We're really moving from pilots to full-rate production. Our high-pressure TKF systems are being deployed for aerospace structures. Patty was talking about hypersonic coatings, missile components, titanium part replacements. Our low and medium pressure systems are enabling us to do mobile in-situ repairs in everything from ship decks to oil rigs. The real name of the game is for the future is that when we become certified, we're in the midst of getting certified, as we talked about, for defense and aerospace activities. We're right in the middle of getting certified for oil and gas rigs. We're getting certified right now for aviation for the maintenance and repair organizations. We're now being considered by, we're being utilized by several of the airlines and the aircraft makers for repairing non-flight critical hardware. This is a big deal, and we're going to be initiating a pilot program here very shortly with one of the major commercial aircraft makers. So we're extremely excited about where the future is, and really excited about all of the R&D and the qualification that's led us to this. And quite frankly, a lot of that was in Australia and in Melbourne that's caused this whole incubation of these activities.
Well, things certainly have changed fast. No one saw the AUKUS Alliance coming as fast as it did, and what we're doing today is setting the foundations for decades ahead. It's certainly the largest industrial endeavour in Australia's history, but the new pathways that we're all creating across the three countries will certainly be a benefit for all three countries for many decades ahead. So great to have Titomic's story here. We're looking forward to sharing your journey. I know that I'm certainly looking forward to being with you in Alabama very soon. So we'll get this out on the YouTube channel as fast as we can, and sure we'll have commentary coming on the LinkedIn that we'll all share. But we need to do this again and again, I reckon, because your business is growing fast. You clearly have a very good team and some great Australian technology to base it all from. So thanks for joining us today. For all of you watching, hit that subscribe button, and we look forward to engaging with all of you. So thanks, Matt, too, for joining us from Adelaide. All the best, team.
Thanks, Michael.